By a show of hands, how many human beings are here in this room? Okay, good. So all of you will understand what I'm about to talk about. My name is Umaru Balde. I was born and raised in West Africa, a small country called Guinea-Bissau, a former Portuguese colony. I grew up speaking 3 to 4 different languages, which is Fulani, my ethnic language, Creole, which is the broken Portuguese, and some Portuguese that I grew up with. Today, I would like to share a story with you, a personal story, about how I got here, because our topic is, again, about the unknown. I am about to share my unknown with you, how it became a known for me, and it's going to be, it made my life much better. So, in our culture, people believe that there are some holy men, spiritual leaders do exist, and every family needs to be on the right side of these people, make them happy. People do take their children, mostly firstborns, and give them away to these spiritual leaders to be raised to become religious and spiritual people. And in return, the family will be blessed for generations to come. For my family, I was the chosen one to be given away. Turns out, the learning that we are going to do there is not what you can imagine, not what you think. We have to learn to endure pain, physical and emotional and mental torture, because in their beliefs, in their cultures and traditions, it's good for a child to suffer, to endure pain, so when you grow up, you can appreciate every little thing. Trust me, that is true. You will appreciate waking up next day just simply being alive. We beg for food because the spiritual leader basically has more than 200 kids in his possession. At age 12, I decided to get out. I ran away, knowing that the only thing I knew for sure was that going back to my dad was not the best idea, because they would not let me bring back bad luck to the family for many, many, many generations. Just because if you run away from the holy man, the spiritual guy, you are coming back with tons of bad luck. And they can curse your family. And that wasn't going to happen. So my dad wouldn't let me stay. And my uncle took me in, put me to school with my cousins. And the first time I saw the inside of a classroom, I was 12 years old. Imagine that. Right? Life was not good. And it was not easy for me, simply because I was not used. I grew up not having anybody to care about me or to care for me. And so I wasn't an easy child. I did not listen. I didn't like to be told what to do and when to do it and how to do it, because I did not have that for the first part of my life, at least. At age 17, I decided it's time to just get out completely, leave the country, and I ended up in the Middle East, specifically in Egypt. I went to school in Egypt because I thought maybe this is where I can actually start changing my life and get better. With the help of a friend and a cousin who lived there, I got into school, got a full scholarship to go into a religious university, where I got my first bachelor's degree in languages and translation, basically English literature. After a bachelor's degree, I started getting in trouble again, not knowing what's going to happen in my life. I just know I'm enjoying this moment right now. I'm very comfortable. I built myself a comfort zone, being a student, being looked at like, okay, this is a guy that everybody on campus in this college knows. That was really nice. I would not want to leave that kind of life. Then I started talking, because I'm also not the kind of guy who can keep my mouth shut when I see injustice happening. And so I started speaking on behalf of students, African students, and everybody else. And so the authorities asked me to leave the country. I was already working on my master's degree, final semester. They told me, no, you got to get out because you are getting involved in politics in Egypt, and most countries in the Middle East, you're not supposed to do that. And I just got myself in trouble. Now, the unknown kicks back in. The comfort zone became my little uncomfort bubble. I need to get out of it. But I could have stayed in Egypt, by the way. A lot of my friends are still there 20 years later. I could have done the same. But I did not want to do that. And I did not want to go back to Guinea for many reasons. One of them, safety. I could not go to Europe because I couldn't get a visa anywhere else. If you are a persona non grata, like one country wants you out of their country, no other country can let you in. And so, what do? Uncertainty. I have a college degree. It's not going to be very useful because it's from a religious institute. I'm not going to be able to use it back home, even if I decide to take that risk and go back. I wanted to keep on moving. I want to keep on studying and get an actual degree that can help me make an impact in the world. And so I knew that some of my friends did take the Moses road, the Exodus. They crossed over into Israel. And I was like, okay, that is an idea. I want to try it. And so I talked to a friend who agreed to take the journey with me. We paid money to someone, a driver who was supposed to be employed by an African embassy in Cairo. We believed them, gave him money. He took us on what was supposed to be the embassy limo. It's not a limo. It was a little Corolla. We crossed the Suez Canal, which is the border between the mainland, Egypt, basically, and the Sinai Peninsula. So now we are in Sinai, one of the most dangerous places to be in 2004. Because of many reasons, there was a lot of bombings in Egypt, and these bombers were believed to have escaped into the Sinai Peninsula. So there were military, like armed forces from many different countries, all in that area. These two African boys crossed over into that danger zone. And so after we crossed the Suez Canal, now we are in Sinai, the guy pulled over and said, "Get out." Why? This is not Tel Aviv, this is not Israel. I don't see any houses. He said, "Get out, get out, get out." As soon as he opened the doors, a pickup pulls up, and they told us, "Jump in." We get in this pickup. They made us lay down on the floor of this pickup truck, put blankets on us with big, heavy rocks so the blankets don't get blown off by the wind, and they sped off. We don't know where we're going. We're covered. As I know that it took 40 minutes of bumping up and down rocks, desert, like sand, mountains and stuff, and then we ended up somewhere. They told us, "Get up." I could not move. So they held my feet and pulled me off, and my friend, I don't know, for some reason he jumped off, and this group sold us to another group. Anyways, we were sold to different groups for 3 months in the desert. Luckily, both of us escaped and made our way into Israel. We hitchhiked the ride from the border into Tel Aviv, where I stayed with a friend. They helped me get a dishwashing job at a restaurant there, where I worked for 2 weeks, and then I got stopped. This is, again, where things got really complicated. The immigration police asked me, "Papers, your documents." Obviously, I don't have any. "How old are you?" Now, this is serious. Without thinking about it, the number 17 comes out of my mouth. I said, "I was 17. I said, "Okay." They said something in Hebrew. "All right, get in." They got me in their van, and I started thinking, why did I say 17? I should tell them the truth. But if I tell them the truth now, I know that they will take me to prison and get me deported. Luckily, with this number 17, they are taking me to a juvenile or an accompanied minors detention center until they figure out a way to get documents and deport me, and that is not an easy process, so let's do this. They took me to detention. I got there and found many, many other kids. Some of them seriously looked older than my dad, but who cares? I asked them. Some said they have been there for 6 months. Some said a year and more. Some of them looked familiar because I met them in the desert. Some I knew from Egypt. And I said, no, I'm not going to stay here that long. About a month later, I got used to this place, the detention center. I started talking to them about doing something to get attention, media attention. So we got into a hunger strike. A few young Sudanese men from Darfur and myself started a hunger strike. It took a whole week, then we got the surprise that changed my life. The picture, top left of the screen, is the reporter that came in to write an article. And I was the translator, also the spokesperson for the group. They interviewed me, they interviewed other prisoners, and the next day the article was out. We're sitting there in the jail cell watching TV, and we saw people taking out to the streets, protesting, demanding our release. Another month went by. The government decided, okay, these protests are not stopping, so if you really want to help and get out of the streets and help these kids get out, you will have to, as Israeli citizens, be willing to sign and be guardians for these kids so we can release them to your houses instead of keeping them in jail. It was strategic because the government is trying to free out space in the jail to go arrest more kids, and we're going to stay in prison but out of the jail, just be in somebody else's house. This woman, now my mom, Nurit, came back later and she said to me, I want to sign and get you out. It's like, are you serious? She's, yes. It's like, okay. We did the paperwork and she got me out of prison, and I went and stayed with her. She helped me get into the Hebrew University to learn the Hebrew language. I did Hebrew language for a semester and then got into taking academic courses. And a friend told me, well, you are getting good in college, so why don't you try to apply for schools abroad? Because you don't know what's going to happen here. I said, that is actually a good idea. So I started sending out applications. I applied to come here to the United States as a student. Got accepted at a community college. My mom's brother lives here in California. He sponsored me to get the visa. Now everything is going fine. I got the paperwork from the college, went to the US Embassy in Tel Aviv. They said, no, we can't give you a visa from here. You have to go back to your country. Oh, I was like, okay, please don't do this to me. I go home and tell my mom. They said, no, I can't get a visa from here. I have to go back to Guinea. She said, no, it's not happening. I said, no, I think I should do it. I'm willing to take that risk. I'm very comfortable living here with you, and it's really good. You're helping me. You're doing everything. Maybe one day I can become a resident in Israel, but I'm not sure. There's all uncertainties. I'm willing to take the risk and go back. And so I did. I flew out to Guinea, to Senegal, the neighboring country, because the US Embassy is in Dakar, neighboring country. I got there. Luckily, I got a visa within 3 weeks. And now it was time to go back to see my family for the first time in 12 years. I get home. It was all exciting. Spent some time, about a week and a half with my dad. It was time to go back to Senegal and catch my flight to the United States. And my dad was coming with me to Senegal to see me board my flight to the United States. And we had a car accident, and bam, he's gone. He got badly injured. He couldn't move. He got a head injury, broke his arm, took him straight to Senegal. The picture on... So then they treated his arm, but they didn't take care of his head injury. And about a week later, he had a heart attack and died in Dakar. That was after I postponed my flight for a week, and I had to change it again. Took him back to Guinea for a funeral. After the funeral, all these people that came to the funeral, the elders, hundreds of people, because he was a community leader, he was also a religious leader, an imam. They all sat around and told me, now, this is the culture, this is the tradition. You're supposed to take your dad's place in the family and in the community. I'm a Hafiz. I memorized the Quran, so I would be the first choice to replace him in the mosque. That would have been a comfortable life for me. The other thing also, I had to get married within a month. I couldn't be a single imam. And so, to a woman they chose for me. There were 7 of them lined up. And I said, okay, it all sounds good. They gave me all this advice, and they ordered me not to leave. I said, okay, but allow me to go back to Senegal and get my luggage and everything else, because I have all my documents there, and then I'll come back here and you will crown me the new imam in the community. And at night, I told my mom, I'm leaving tomorrow and I'm not coming back. I'm sorry for leaving you right after your husband died, but I'll do what I can. But I have to go after my dreams. And so I did. Got out and went back to Senegal and ended up in California the following week with tons of stress. And so, see, I had to go after what I wanted. Had I stayed back home in my comfort zone, I wouldn't have been here today. I had to be willing to accept the uncertainties of being detained in Israel, not having documents, and having all this help, but I knew that I will never be a resident or a citizen in Israel. It was very tough, but I had a whole lot of help that I could also continue depending and relying on and just stay in the comfort zone. But I had to eliminate it. Not only, people like to say, get out of the comfort zone, stretch the comfort zone. I tell you, you have to eliminate it completely and be okay with the uncertainties of life. If I did it and ended up here, everybody and anybody can do it too. The uncertainties and the unknown will always exist in our lives. We just have to be willing to go against the social, cultural, and traditional expectations and go with our own personal expectations. Thank you.